This is Good Morning Uganda. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, thank you so much for again staying with us now. Of course, today is the 28th day of January 2028. Guess what? That is almost the 60 days of January, as they say. But of course, I know we had a nice interlude there of music. We tried to give you a cocktail of some nice jams, of course, majorly Ugandan. We're trying to promote our local content, as the word is, but I hope we promote local content in all sort of like areas. Definitely, I hope that you had a good time. And of course, you woke up to some nice music that does start your weekend. After also being a Friday here in Good Morning Uganda, we do make it a bit different. We try to loosen up a little bit and give you something quite unusual. Of course, with anticipation that also today is the first weekend into, is it called the unlocking or outside? One will say outside. I don't know. Philo today is probably, yeah, Philo knows better. She's been she's one of those. But anyway, Philo, good morning.
Good morning.
How
Felix.
are you?
I'm good.
It's good to see you this morning.
Good to see you too. I'm very happy. I really want to say thank you to the person who was selecting the music, you know, the music interlude. I won't lie. I really won't lie. It was amazing, and clearly it kind of boosted my mood this morning. So
Lovely. Lovely.
Yes, and like you said, it's the first weekend during the unlocked era. I decided to give it my own name to personalize it. Yes.
The what era? I mean, makes it look like it's ancient.
My friend, 2 years. 2 years. It's not a short period of time. 2 years. That's a long time. So
it feels like forever.
Absolutely. So I mean, I think it's worth calling an era.
Well, Uncle Bob is normally going around to do a bit of research the whole of this week. He was on duty on our behalf, hopping from one place to another. Probably has a better conclusion into how things have been running. Bob, morning, Robert.
A lovely morning to you, Felix, and the entire team. Well, we're excited. This is the first Friday. Tuliwa weru. That is what we are saying. And Tushimbu Day. So those two slogans now, Tuliwa weru. Finally, we are there. Tuliwa weru till morning, and of course, Tushimbu Day this Friday. So there's so much excitement among so many people.
Mollen told me the other day that I should go open my bottle. That one should go to a police post, ask at around midnight, ask for an opener from OC. And
but Felix, that happened.
How safe that is?
That happened to Afande Hassan Kasinje.
Okay.
That is the Chief Political Commissioner of Uganda Police. This is what happened. It was funny, I was discussing with him. A drunkard came at his gate, and his guards told him. So the man had a bottle and sat there and said, I'm free now to drink. And you know his character. He just came and told him, when you're tired, you can go away.
Well, Mollen would testify to that. Mollen has also been on a mission from us. We asked that to also tell
for
us.
journalistic purposes or for
absolutely. For weather purposes.
Oh, also may have been one place to the other.
I think I'll have to believe it was for environmental
absolutely,
purposes. But guess what? Guess what? Me, I was only checking out like the venues. I did not get inside, so I was just looking at who is doing a good job in making sure that, you know, these bars are in a good place, the location is okay, so that we don't encroach on our environment.
What is the use of the location when it comes to the
yeah, so that is basically. But guess what? I also want to add to the mood of the first Friday when we are out there. You can imagine, no one has to worry. Okay, myself, I don't have to worry about waking up early tomorrow, so the hangover can come. I mean the hangover from moving around, you know? From moving around, doing the research. Yeah, the journalistic purposes, you know? For journalistic purposes, I'm going to have to be
You're
moving
going to test everything for journalistic purposes.
We need to make sure that people are observing SOPs. Yes. We need to make sure that people are wearing masks in bars. So, you know, that's the reason why.
And we speak from an informed point of view.
I will probably take that
so in case you meet us with Mollen, our program is starting today.
That's exactly what
just
we'll be doing.
be sure that we speak when we are informed. You know,
Wow.
we've been in these
Exactly.
places
Okay.
and
So why do you say we take the whole weekend? We take, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, we are taking
do that
various
by
spots.
Monday, you guys just know
Good
we'll bring you all this
reports.
information.
yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I can't wait for that report from the
Self-appointed. I don't know what I don't know the best word that can
environmental
describe.
expert and
Self-appointed.
But of course, definitely there will be more need for Hallelujah tomorrow morning. I can tell you, Kirabo, my brother, make sure Hallelujah is available in the market. There will be more need. They must have plenty of it.
He's not drinking.
No, for the
he's
people
just
who will be
doing a
drinking.
survey.
Okay.
Let me tell you, you've never met a drunkard, a good drunkard. Hey, I'll tell you that story when we come back. But guess what? Today being Friday, also as I said earlier, we do expect to do a fusion of a bit of music. Now today in a special way, we're going to be talking about or listening to something quite unusual. And probably we'll get to understand why it's called that, why it's done like that. Someone would say, there's one person who said that these guys who do this kind of music lie us a lot. But the good thing, we'll be answering that question and whether they are lies or not, and probably also you who are viewing us, when you listen, you tell us whether they're actually lies or not. But today, Friday, 28th, of course, Good Morning Uganda special now edition does bring to you the man himself, Wek. I don't know if I'm saying it in the right way or should I spell it, but I hope I am. Good morning, man.
Good morning, man.
It's good to have you.
It's good to be here, man.
You look cool, man.
Thank you.
You look
thank
like
you.
a celebrity.
You know.
I
You
know.
know. Thank you.
I'm feeling your vibe.
Thank you. Thank
How
you
are
very
you?
much. I'm very
How
well.
does it feel waking up at 5?
It feels good.
Does
Finally,
it?
truly well.
I tell you,
I mean, who doesn't feel good?
I know, I
Yeah,
know.
so,
Oh,
yeah.
did you actually sleep? Or they picked you from somewhere?
No, I slept. Yes, they did not pick me
Since
from.
you were away, probably
I was
people
not
no longer-
scouting bars and where
Yeah,
they're
you're not doing
environmentally
any
blessed.
journalistic.
Yeah, in a journalistic way. But
Point of view.
No, you could do it from an entertainment point of
You
view. But
know.
how have you been?
I've been well. I've been well.
Yeah.
I've been good. Yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah.
You're excited.
very excited.
So what's ahead of you guys? What's the plan? What's the plan? Finally, you've been saying Mzei. So Mzei, listen.
Finally, tuliwa welu batuguddewo. So we are just now getting into organizing shows here and there, being called here and there, making some money here and there.
Absolutely,
Hallelujah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So today we have you here on the show, and we'll
Yeah.
be getting more of your music.
Yeah.
Just a brief one. What should people expect?
My name is Wake. I
Yeah.
am a spoken word artist. Spoken word is really poetry. So I'm a poet and I'm also a rapper. So people should expect some poetry, some rap, some poetry, some rap. Some
Okay.
Kasavu Kanyama.
Kasavu Kanyama.
Exactly.
Absolutely. As we await for that, we want to also give you a bit of what did happen last night in terms of local stories and, of course, international stories. And, of course, we'll be unveiling something quite interesting that UBC did do in terms of also the AFCON. Now, we went out full way, and we'll be giving you that at the top of the stories. Let's take a look at our local stories with Robert and Mollen, and I'll be taking you through international news.
We'll kick it off with that is Parliament honoring the life of former Governor of Bank of Uganda, Emmanuel Tumusiime Mutebile, where Parliament paid tribute to the late former Governor of Bank of Uganda, Professor Emmanuel Mutebile, in a special sitting to honor the contribution of one of the fallen drivers of Uganda's economic growth. The MPs unanimously asked government to support, that is the family of the deceased Mutebile, more so with a place of board. The session was chaired by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Anite Amongi. The death of former Governor of Bank of Uganda shocked the nation. That was on Sunday morning, the 23rd of this very month. Professor Mutebile, who was described as a great pillar in the economic recovery of Uganda since 1990s, died from Nairobi Hospital in Kenya. Parliament of Uganda, through the Prime Minister Robina Nabanja, anonymously seconded on the floor that anonymously agreed to ensure that there is a house provided for the people that he was taking care of. This motion was moved to ensure that they pay tribute and appreciate Professor Mutebile's work towards the country. Professor Mutebile, having drunk from the deep wells of economists, MPs who are economists, also made description of a man in him who distanced himself from corruption at all costs. MPs hailing from Kigezi region said the late Professor Mutebile spearheaded unity and could sit and chair at the center of any dispute in Kigezi sub-region. Bukoli County Central Member of Parliament Solomon Sirwanyi proposed an amendment in the motion to include consideration of government to follow up on welfare of the late's family and appropriate property, more so to benefit for them a home that the family will have government in remembrance of the good work done by the professor. The late Professor Emmanuel Mutebile will be buried on Sunday, the 30th June this very year in Kabale district.
Talk gender-based violence. Now, with addressing gender-based violence cases and administer justice to Ugandans, the judiciary is coming up with specific plans that will enable courts to handle gender-based violence cases. The Principal Judge, Dr. Flaviana Zeija, made the communication while receiving equipment worth 350 million shillings from the UN Women. Now, to address the handling of gender-based violence cases. The handover took place at the judiciary headquarters in Kampala, and delays in handling gender-based violence-related cases has denied justice to many victims. Now, although some cases have been heard, with others still pending in courts of law, including convicting some perpetrators, there are still some gaps in how gender-based violence cases are handled when it comes to capturing evidence during the trials. Now, with this problem, the UN Women have donated over 30 computers and 2 sets of court recording equipment worth 350 million Ugandan shillings to help the judiciary in handling gender-based violence cases. The Principal Judge, Dr. Flavian, while receiving these equipment, commended the UN Women and Australia Ambassador, saying that this will help in strengthening the work of the judiciary. Now, the donated equipment will be installed in different courts across the country, starting with the Buganda Road Court in Kampala. Now, Kwetima Roswitha, the Australian ambassador to Uganda, promised more support in fighting gender-based violence cases in Uganda. In attendance was the Permanent Secretary to the Judiciary, Pius Vigirimana, and the Chief Registrar, Sarah Ranji.
And away from that, we look at floods and mudslides, where the State Minister for Disaster Preparedness, Esther Anyakuni, in company of the State Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development in charge of youth and children, Sarah Nyabira Suti, have visited, that is the flood victims in Nyaru, Caesar sub-county. Minister Nyakuni addressed people in Rugina, land in Rugweri village, exploring solutions to stop similar occurrence in the future. She said that they are going to set up a team from the Department of Environment, Ministry of Water, who will establish the cause of landslides and stone rolling on Mountain Muhavura. Area Member of Parliament Bufumbira South, Alex Seruganda, said the investigations into the cause of landslides are timely. However, she declared the condolence message of worth 500,000 Uganda shillings to the flood relief victims, that is from the Office of the Prime Minister, that got affected in the communities. Minister Sarah Mateka thanked the Office of the Prime Minister for its quick response towards the vulnerable people. Abel Bizirimana expressed concern of a likely breakout of cholera following the absence of latrines in the flooded affected community. The Red Cross spokesperson Irene Nakasita said that they are working with the government to help the affected families through delivering relief items, including saucepans, plates, jerrycans, and mosquito nets, among others, to over 300 families.
Well, away from that, we look at the bombing suspect's case. Now, Magistrate Asumani Muhumuza of Buganda Road Court has compelled the prosecution to expedite with investigations in the matter, where 22 suspects are allegedly accused of planting the twin bombings in Kampala and other parts of the country. Now, this happened via Zoom conferencing, in which 22 suspects appeared before the Buganda Road Magistrate Court in Kampala for the mention of the case committed. However, prosecution informed court that inquiries in these matters are still going on. Now, the 22 suspects alleged in the masterminding and planting of the two twin bombing in Kampala, aiding and abetting terrorism, have appeared at the Buganda Road Court in Kampala via video conferencing from various government prisons of Chitalia, Chigo and Luzira for mention of the charges against them. Now, the accused persons include Muwonge Yusuf, Kiyemba Ismail, Duko Bashir, Nachitende Sharon, Namfuka Aaron, among others. The accused lawyer, Hamza Sekinde, informed court about the torture which was inflicted on his clients during and after the arrest, thus requesting court that the accused should be taken for medical examination at the African Center for Treatment and Rehabilitation. Now, prosecution objected of these priors basing on the police report and that their health status was normal. Prosecution also informed court that inquiries in this matter are still ongoing, thus requesting court for more time, which the prayer was objected to by the defense lawyer. And the 22 accused persons are facing 6 charges related to terrorism, aiding and abetting terrorism, and also belonging to a terrorist organization.
International stories, and we'll be looking at our first story while we see Joe Biden now comes out to warn of possible Russian invasions of Ukraine that did come in February. Now, also the White House did come out to give a statement that the White House says the President Joe Biden did come out to warn Ukraine's president that there is a distinct possibility that Russia will invade Ukraine. Now, this possibility is also backed up by the various sanctions, will be backed by various sanctions if the Russians do attempt to continue with the same. Now, the news also comes as that is a Kremlin likewise sounded a grim note to on Thursday, saying it saw the little ground for optimism that this should be resolved. Now, Russian officials said dialogue was still possible to end the crisis, but Biden again offered a stark warning amid growing concerns that Russia President Vladimir Putin will give the go-ahead for further invasion of Ukrainian territory in the not so distant future. Now, in other news, amid pandemic and protest, Olympics return to a changed China. Now, Beijing Winter Olympics kick off in a week, putting sports at center stage following the preparations that have been clouded by diplomatic boycotts and COVID-19 pandemic that has forced the games into a tightly sealed bubble. Beijing will become the first city to host both the summer and winter games, and some venues from 2008 will be reused, including the Bird's Nest Stadium, where the opening ceremony will again be overseen by famed Chinese director Zhang Mu. Now into Africa, Burkina Faso Army warns ex-officials in talks over transition. Now, Burkina Faso military has overthrew the country's government, has warned the former minister not to leave the capital or obstruct its officers during talks over how to return the democratic election. One of the politicians who was present did say. Now, the officer, who calls themselves the Patriotic Movement for Safeguard and Restoration, deposed President Roch Kabore on Monday, saying his government had failed to contain worsening violence by armed groups.
Still on Africa, in weather and nation news, tropical storm Anna leaves dozens dead in South Africa. Now, the death toll from a storm that struck 3 South African countries rose to 77 on Thursday as emergency teams battled to repair damaged infrastructure and help tens of thousands of victims. Now, bringing torrential rains, tropical storm Anna made landfall on Monday in Madagascar before plowing into Mozambique and Malawi. Now, rescue workers and authorities across the 3 countries were still assessing the full extent of the damage, even as another storm was forming in the Indian Ocean. Now, Madagascar on Thursday night declared a state of national disaster as the death toll rose to 48. Mozambique reported 18 killed, while 11 had died in Malawi. Now, remnants of the storm have passed over Zimbabwe, but no deaths have been reported there. In the 3 hardest hit countries, tens of thousands of homes were destroyed, and some collapsed under the heavy rain, trapping victims in the rubble.
Now, our international story is also in relation to the local stories that we did look at. We also want to bring a poll question onto you, and we want you to be part of this discussion. Now, Philo will take us through our poll question. Well, of course, that as we do get into that, we also want to look at a couple of other things, and maybe that's where I want to bring in Robert just quickly before we get into the poll question. Robert, something did happen yesterday. We saw the Parliament elogize the late Professor Tumusime Mutebire. Quite lots of condolences poured in. And there's this song by Chameleon. I know you know that song. Basima Ogenze. Doesn't this disturb you? The things people say when someone is dead, vis-a-vis the things they say when someone is alive?
First, as a pure Muganda man, Sajja Kabaka, here in Buganda, when a person dies, we don't say anything bad about them. We look for only the good things. That is what we do. But also, Felix has brought up a very good point, that it's always important to appreciate people while they're still alive, because there they will know how grateful we are to them, rather than when they have gone, someone is in a casket, doesn't even know what is. They have already left planet Earth, and here you are. I think to me then we are doing this for those that are there. It just wants to remind me when the president called for help during the lockdown. There are companies that gave great towards that task. Yet even their employees were suffocating on, they had no salaries, they had nothing, but they were giving millions, billions just to be recognized. So sometimes I think we do this for the rest that are there. But for that particular person, here I am. Give me those millions while I'm still alive.
But I also want the musicians in Uganda say, for him to sell out his funeral, because he knows people would attend. I had Chameleon tell someone that I can even already tender it out either to a Chiburu promoter, Balam, what, because I know people will come, just like what you saw when radio died in Kololo. And that's something probably we'll be also asking Wake here. I don't know. Nevertheless, let's take a look at our poll question with Philo before we get into all that.
Well, following has been happening, or what actually happened to the fallen bank of Uganda, the late Governor Emmanuel Tumusime. He's been the Africa's longest serving governor, and this morning we would really want to find out from you, how can government actually come in to reward long-time serving servants? Do tell us what you think would be the best or the ideal way for these servants to be rewarded on our Twitter, and the hashtag is #UBCGMU, or you can send us a message on WhatsApp number 0709 602 592. And in the meantime, today is Friday, and yes, it is about that time that we get to actually listen from Wake. Felix earlier said that usually people who do this kind of music lie to us. I don't know how true that is, but I think this is the moment that Wake is going to be proving to us whether the kind of music, whether the kind of performance is going to give us, it's a lie or not. But I highly doubt. Felix is Felix, but I'm a believer. I'm a believer.
I also saw that he actually has worked with a young Francais. I don't know whether he actually does poetry in French. It would be interesting what he's doing. Or not just you working with them, or tu parles français? Do you speak some French?
No, I don't. The only French I know is the bonjour and comment ça va, and
Okay.
I don't know if coupe bibamba is French.
Apparently, that was Congolese.
Yeah.
No, for as long as you can say bonjour, it's
You
enough.
get lost in the streets of Paris, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
You know how to say bonjour and you know how to say comment ça va. I don't think you'd get lost. So keep working with Alliance Francais. You'll
Well,
get there.
ladies and gentlemen, Wake is here to give us his first performance. He's going to be performing a poem that I'm pretty sure we will all enjoy, and I'm hoping Felix will enjoy it too.
Well, for me, it's always interesting to get something different. On the domain of entertainment, we have had a lot of Chigoma dance, we have had a lot of Chidura thing. Like, everyone is doing the normal things, the easy things to do. I mean, tomorrow Bob is going to be an artist. Hey, tell me about that, Robert.
Well, I'm working on a song.
That is everything.
He's a very multi-talented
Yeah,
man, so you
I'm
can't
working,
just...
I'm working on a song, and once it's out, Well, it's really going. I'm going to pay one of the artists to be part of this, and it's really going to be a hot thing coming up.
Well, it's quite tricky, and I can't wait to hear Robert's song. I don't know if I want Robert to go that way. But nevertheless, as we get into a break, we just also want to tell you now, UBC has been at the epitome of the AFCON. And this is a matter of fact. We've brought to you all the games since the starting, and our promise was to give you 52 games until the Bikoni, the latter, and the afternoon or evening of this tournament. Now we keep into that promise, and definitely we also try to spice up this whole venture. Now we did also bring into contemplation a couple of gifts. People who are watching out there, fans, soccer lovers, we of course bring to you something quite interesting. Now yesterday we did Uganda Broadcasting Corporation in partnership with Yo TV has started awarding prediction winners of AFCON 2021. Now of course yesterday we saw some of the winners. Well, we saw Angura Ben from Soroti District and Isaac Kadu of Maya having predicted on different games, and guess what? They won as they were promised. Of course, some of them walked away with cash prizes. We also saw the tallest man. Is it the tallest man? Someone wanted to challenge Ruben's height here. I understand. I want them to stand with Kent. He's the only contender. But we saw Mzee Ruben there, awarding one of the winners there, and of course Fifi, one of our sports commentator, and of course also analyst, awarding some of the winners. That was Isaac Kadu and Angura Ben. Now we also ask you, all of you people who love soccer, who've been watching AFCON on UBC, be kind enough to make some predictions. You never know, you will win. You see, the 60 days of January don't come easy. So we are willing to help you loosen up. Yeah, so be part of this, predict some games. Now Ruben will be here to tell us how the predictions will be going on. How do you predict? What number do you send? And guess what? There are more hampers. There are even borders. Guess what? Anyway, let's take a break. When we come back, Wake is going to give us his first performance, and that will be a poem. I don't know the last time I had a poem. I can't wait to listen to Wake's poem. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175 hash and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Patriotism is a feeling of love, devotion, and the willingness to sacrifice for one's country.
I say no to corruption because I put my country first. I choose peace over violence because I put my country first.
I love Uganda. I serve Uganda. I sacrifice for Uganda. I'm loyal to Uganda. I love myself.
Be patriotic. Uganda first. This message is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Co-Uganda, Office of the President.
All eyes are on Africa. All eyes are on Cameroon. All eyes are on UBC. The drama, the heartbreak, the suspense, tears, joy and celebrations in the biggest sporting event on the continent. In one place, UBC. Call your public broadcaster today and grow your business with us. 0752 265 827 and 0776 611 540. UBC, inspiring Uganda. The auction of 2022 is here. Kaleiwai. To bid on any of our selected items, a Bajaj Boda Boda, brand new laptop, a smartphone, fridge, flat screen, or school fees worth 1 million shillings. You need to load airtime, then dial star 210 star 3 hash, choose an item, and pay a bidding fee of 10,000 shillings via mobile money. It's 10K. After successfully registering, you start bidding on your item of choice immediately. Dial star 210 star 3 hash again, pick item you registered for, then insert your bid amount. Your bid amount is not deducted from your mobile money. We only sell to the highest bidder. The highest bidder will be called live on UBC TV on February 10th, 2022, and you will come with the money you inserted as your bid, pay it in cash, and walk away with your brand new item. Highest bids for the day on various items can be seen by dialing star 210 star 3 hash. For more information, 0780 103 333. Kaleiwai is in the auction house. Terms and conditions apply.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Raising voices.
I feel happy when my mother spends time with me. I hope all mothers will like my mother. I want my mother to reach out to all mothers. She knows how important it is to be a good mother. I promise to help my mother inspire other mothers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome back from that short break. We're still doing Good Morning Uganda Friday special edition. Now, like we did promise you earlier on, we have Wake, an amazing artist, spoken word artist to be very specific, and also a rapper. And right about now, he's going to be giving us a performance about this poem. This poem, he's been telling me something about it. Very interesting. You will love to know about it. I'll just give you a sneak peek into it. It's something that Ugandans love, a delicacy that we are all accustomed to. A delicacy that no Ugandan can deny they've had, a Rolex. I will tell you that. So he's going to be telling us much more about this Rolex and this guy who really makes them in one day called Musidam. I've never understood why actually most Rolex people are called Musidam, aside from the stereotype of having Basoga do the best Rolexes, but also had quite a number of Basogas being called Musidam. So I'm thinking all these aesthetics will come out in this poem that is going to be given to us. Wake. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So this poem is called Rolex ya Musiramu, and if you like it, it's on my YouTube channel, Words of Wake. So this poem basically talks about guy that makes the best Rolexes like ever. So so this is how it goes. When night falls and all restaurants go to rest, there is always one man you can run to. With no superpowers or S on his chest, you can trust Musiramu to come to your rescue. Doorbells to my appetite start to ring as he flattens the round door balls. Choirs of my enzymes start to sing as the pan hits up above the red hot coals. Butterflies in my stomach start to fly at the sound of cooking oil ready to fry. Unsettled thoughts in my mind fail to decide which side of the fried dough looks better. My test buds assume their positions with pride. The golden brown dough more provocative than ever. My mind now glued to my waist, my hands now glued to my waist. Good things come to those who wait. This is not an exaggeration. He knows exactly how to crack eggs. He adds salt with such unique precision in a recipe so elusive, it is easier to find X. Roses are red, violets are blue, Let the man fry those vegetables in the eggs for you. He works his magic in plain sight, causing the chalaza to vanish in the mix as albumen turns into egg white. Who on earth can remember Jamino discs? He lifts the fried eggs off the pan expertly and lays them onto the golden brown dough chapati. Finally, my time has come. My long-awaited Rolex is ready as he rolls chapati and egg into one. This Rolex is worth every single penny. I don't mean to brag and boast, but of course, my Rolex guy is better than yours, because when night falls and all restaurants go to rest, there is always one man you can run to. He has no superpowers or S on his chest, but you can trust Musiramu to come to your rescue. Thank you. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. You know, when you are describing it, I will tell you for sure, I really felt like I was craving a Rolex right now. And I'll tell you also, to be very specific, the impatience that comes when he's preparing. You know, you can't wait. You look at him take step by step in the recipe and try to... My friend, that is the most...
It's a true story, yo. It's a true story, man.
But you know what? I really loved it. And it actually tells what we see all these Rolex people do. I never know whether it's just a general thing. I don't know whether it's something they agreed that they do as... I don't know whether I should call it an
association, right?
Absolutely. Yes. So tell me something, Wake. What exactly inspired you to get into this whole spoken word thing?
Well, for me, spoken word is about the power of the word.
Yes.
I started out as a rapper, but many times people don't really hear what you're saying as a rapper because the words get lost in like the beat and stuff like that. So for me, spoken word comes from a space of trying to get the word through in its purest form. So that's where spoken word comes from. So I just started by speaking my rap lines. So that sort of became my poetry. And so... yeah, that's where it comes from.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then you actually did talk about rapping. Is there a connection between spoken word and actually rapping? Do they have a common ground? Do they have a middle ground?
Yes, I think so. I think they're twins, because spoken word is really rap without beats, because it counts on. It has a lot of rhythm, it has a lot of rhyme, and you know, and that's what really rap is rhythm and rhyme, yeah. So
you know, when you're actually doing the spoken word, I kind of got a rhythm. I don't know if I should call it a vibe, but I found myself swaying along what you're saying, the tonation. I think all these aesthetics.
Yeah. Those are similar components with rap also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long have you been doing the spoken word?
Spoken word, I think it's about now 6 years or so. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you even get to master this? Do you actually, can you do something about anything you see? Is it, you know, the things that happen every day?
Yeah.
Could you maybe probably sit down and try to be very more specific about something you're going to do this poem about? Or just things that pass by, probably you've seen Philomena, you could decide to do something about
you
her,
know,
or
you know.
Could that be an inspiration?
Very, very much so.
I would really love it.
Well,
so,
the inspiration really comes from life and the things that happen, like Rolex, Yamusidamu. I speak about pretty much everything. I speak about politics. I speak about love. Of course, I speak about things like that. Yeah, so it's life, really.
Is somewhere in the corner. I think
Hallelujah.
We'd probably be expecting something.
Yeah.
So does that mean that you could actually do something about us being Waweru?
Waweru, I should write. Yeah, you know, I should write something about.
I
should write something about Waweru.
You need to do it.
Tuli Waweru. Yeah.
We still have Wake with us in the house, and like I already said, he's doing amazing work. He's a spoken word artist. He's a rapper, and he's still giving us more performances this morning. So just in case you don't understand what this thing means, what spoken word, being a spoken word poet or poetess means, well, he's here to draw meaning to it. So you'll probably be understanding more about that. And well, we still do have more performances. Here's another one from him.
All right. So this next poem is called 256, and it's a poem that is dear to my heart, because it's it really talks about my homeland, Uganda. I'm very proud to be Ugandan. And yeah, so this is 256. And still, if you love it, it's on my YouTube channel, Words of Wake. So check it out. When I take the lead of my pen, do not expect me to shut my beak. I may not always be nice, but I surely stay clear when I speak. Now, speaking of speak, most of these youths still have a whole life to discover regardless of what John spoke. So please stop and let us make some checks, like a police stop. You see, first off, there is no place like the 256. We are a base of divergent cultures with a space enough for each to partake and taste of the mix. See, there is no place like the 256. On the face of this planet, we are blessed with the finest climate that is best for the primates. And yes, the world is taking pics because there is no place like the 256. They call us the Pearl of Africa, where the colors are black, yellow, red, but the trees stay green. Where else will you find this but in the 256? So forget what the outside thinks. They pick on a few things to say that the inside of my Africa, my 25, stinks, but they ain't on the inside, so they miss some insights, and of these I speak. Now, yes, we have problems. Every country does. And the outside only conceals their own troubles by over-exaggerating ours. See, they make bad reports about us so they can have us repeat the class, so they can have us believe in what's theirs and hate on ours when we think of class, so they can have the right to look down on us because they say we are from a less privileged class. They want to talk to us about class? Have they ever thought of the fact that they could belong to a whole different school of thought from us before trying to program us into becoming their Autobots like Optimus, while they masquerade behind the claim to transform us? See, globalization is good, but at what price? Globalization is good, but at what price? They should recognize that what is nice to them could be a vice to us and respect us when we don't take their advice. Now to you, my people, wake up. Can't you see that your mind holds the power to make or break you, G? That the only way you can be free is by setting free the very way you think. I mean, this is supposed to be easy as A, B, C, but they usually won't tell you this in SST, HSC, or even at LDC. Now consider yourself lucky if you got beaten by your parents to do what's right, because nowadays society justifies so many wrongs under the excuse of human rights. They bring darkness, confused as light, and you can hardly smell the rat because their fumes is right. The same system my man trusted consumed his life. We are too blind to who we are to see that our future is bright, so we hold on to foreign gifts and presents. Now majority of our population are the youth. That's by the stats given. And if we can exploit this opportunity, then our national prayers will become thanksgiving. But if the roads are bad, how will the youth be self-driven? If the roads are bad, how will the youth be self-driven? And the cost of a parliamentary seat has just risen, so every member of parliament is either looking to break the people or break even. So trust me, they are better off sleeping. They keep sleeping. They keep sleeping on their dreams when we let them lie. They are like dogs. They bark a lot during campaigns, but they seldom bite. Majority of our population are the youth. That's by the stats given. If we can exploit this opportunity, our national prayers will become thanksgiving. But if the roads are bad, how will the youth be self-driven? Now, in my country, we like to boast about our hospitality, and yet much is more. In our country, we like to boast about our hospitality, and yet very little has been done about child mortality or maternal mortality, because our hospitals are but a shadow of our hospitality. This is the tragedy. See, I tell you, there is no place like the 256. And I know we have problems. So I don't blame you for chasing a visa to go to the States because your home is mess. But hey, even those in the States will tell you, east or west, home is best. East or west, Home is blessed. See, we need you. We need you to properly spell Uganda. Without you, all we are left with is Ganda, propaganda. We need you because you are the light. You are the future. Now, if you desert your country for another, then you become the traitor. See, I tell you, there is no place like the 256. And I know we have problems. But running away is never the solution. I believe that with our minds combined, our problems are bound to die if we plan the execution for God and my country. Thank you.
For God and my country, indeed. That was really, really amazing and wonderful. You did actually highlight very many points. The fact that people want to run away from Uganda and go where every country has its own problems.
Right? And the best way to change is when you're inside. Like,
exactly.
You can't change it from outside. So
exactly.
And it's our home.
It's our home. You can't run away from home, east or west. You actually did say that. Home is best.
Yeah, home is best. So stay here, make it happen. Don't criticize from the outside. Come home, participate, and
Okay, so what exactly, I really want to know, did you actually sit down and analyze and, you decided, okay, this needs to be talked about. The fact that very many people are running away, very many people are doing the blame game, throwing problems here and there, but they're forgetting that, I mean, at the end of the day, we are all human. What actually was the inspiration behind this very specific poem?
Well, this poem is really, these are my thoughts about my country and how, because it starts off with the good, the weather. We are a blessed country. And then, like you said, every country has its troubles. So I delve into some of the challenges that we have and stuff like that. So it's really my views about how we can contribute to a better Uganda, because at the end of the day, we are all Ugandans. And you can't change Uganda when you hate Uganda. You can't change Uganda when your heart is not for Uganda. So my heart is for Uganda, and that basically means, speaking about the things that, are happening in my country. So that's where that comes from.
Okay. Now, speaking of your future, especially in this line of being a poet, we've seen quite prominent poets take on standard platforms. I will give an instance. When it was, I think, the swearing in of Joe Biden, we had a prominent African a lady who did this poem that really went viral. I've forgotten the name, but she went viral. She did something that was really beautiful, something that was touching. I didn't know her before until now I know her. So do you see your line, do you see taking that kind of line?
Well, like, is it specifically at a swearing in, or?
It could be an international platform right about now.
I am with whatever comes, whatever opportunity comes for me to be able to speak the word. I'll be honored to do so. I have performed at conferences. So such spaces are good spaces because they give you an opportunity to explore certain themes that you'd never have explored. For example, I've written poetry about research ethics, and yet I'm not even a researcher. But you're approached and you're given a theme, and they say write about this, and this is the target audience we're looking at. So whatever opportunity is there, I write basically about anything and everything. So I'm available,
And well, actually, to just put it out there, this hasn't really happened on the international scene. We've actually had our very own people here do their thing, shine on the Ugandan platforms. We've had also some poets do performances at the swearing in of His Excellency. So I know you are on the right track. Now let's talk about some performances. What kind of performances have you done some performances before?
Yes, I have done. I had a show. I had my first show, I think, in 2018. I was planning a show in 2019, and until the thing happened.
The thing happened.
But I have performed pretty much everywhere. Okay, not everywhere really, but I have performed. Highlight performance was probably when I went to Nairobi. And performed there, but I've performed here, performed at Bayimba Festival, performed at Fête de la Musique. I've collaborated with Alliance Française on a couple of projects or performances.
I saw Mollen get excited about that.
So I've done a couple really,
Okay.
home events.
All right. So I also know that you're not just a spoken word artist.
Yes.
You are a rapper. You are a hip hop
Yes,
artist. Is
I
there
am.
a difference between the two?
I am a rapper. Yes, there's a because hip hop is broader than just rap. Rap
Okay.
is an element of hip hop. So hip hop has like b-boy, beatboxing, graffiti,
Yes.
spoken word and rap. So yeah.
You definitely know all that. Well, as we come to the end of this edition, he's also going to give us a performance. He's going to give us a rap song or a hip hop artist, which is what, by the way?
Let's see. Because it's Valentine's season is
Ooh,
coming.
I love Valentine's.
There's
Everybody
this,
knows that.
There's this song that I have. I come from Palisa. I don't know if you know where Palisa is.
I do know where Palisa
I am a
is.
Mugwere from Palisa district. So most of my music is in my mother tongue.
Ooh.
So this song is called Kaleiwai, and it is about a girl. Kawalagwe basically in Lugwere.
Kaleiwai.
Kaleiwai, yes. So this is a love song. It's called Kaleiwai. So that's the one I'm going to do in the spirit of Valentine's.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. 1, 2. Look what you made me. They call me Mwanaweka, yo. What up, UBC? First time I saw you, I never thought you were the one. Now I can sing to Basinga Bobombona, hottest thing under the sun. You've got me thinking of living the games with the boys, cause I just wanna be your man. Takatuku magane twesa nyuse, loving each other to the best that we can. Oh, Katonda Musa, ampaire kimulye chamere irado mukijimusa. Oli muntu Musa, your beauty is so delicate. Iwe bako kwata bati anze kalo nsanyusa. I could look into your eyes, kale bako wiro kucha. Believe me when I say you're hot. Ababandi bataka oku oloko cha madam. Mimi nakupenda kabisa. Ntaka tube oti Yesu ne kanisa. Ntaka nkoling na bulia cheche tagi siambe nganize zekana kwesigalize. Hey, Iwe tomaite, the happiness you bring into my day. Cause babe, singa walio maite, wandipa irenge yo Monday to Monday. Hey. Shout out to Afri. These are the sounds of Afri, yo. Made me feel this way. Now 1, 2, 3, let me see you go. Hey, say what? Nobody ever made me feel this way. You know, it's such an honor. First performance on the first Friday after the lockdown.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Wake, giving us this amazing entertainment. I can tell you that this you will expect more from Good Morning Uganda. Friday special edition. It's always not so serious. It's not always. We are trying to usher you into the weekend.
Yeah.
So what better way to do it than entertaining you?
Yeah.
Well, we're still happening all the way, and we'll be having Mollen come through to give us some of the weather updates and also giving you some more information concerning climate. But again, we'll be having more performances from WEG. We'll be back shortly.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149 *10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149 *10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149 *10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
All eyes are on Africa. All eyes are on Cameroon. All eyes are on UBC. The drama, the heartbreak, the suspense, tears, joy, and celebrations in the biggest sporting event on the continent. In one place, UBC. Call your public broadcaster today and grow your business with us. 0752 265 827 and 0776 611 540. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Start the year off with my Airtel Airtel 4G smartphone. You get to enjoy free 1 GB data valid for a month and 100% bonus data every month for 3 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings. This includes free data spread over 3 months worth 86,500 Uganda shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 Uganda shillings only. Visit the nearest Airtel shop and get one today. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Raising voices.
I feel happy when my mother spends time with me. I hope all mothers will like my mother. I want my mother to reach out to all mothers. She knows how important it is to be a good mother. I promise to help my mother inspire other mothers to change.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Hi Uganda, East Africa, Africa and the world. Welcome to the Kaleiwai auction market where we're selling different items through auction. You can bid for the item you desire right now. Do you see that code on your TV? Load airtime, dial that code, select your preferred item and you are in to the Kaleiwai auction. Now we've been telling you that we have a brand new Bajaj motorbike. What is so special about this bike?
This is the CT125 Bajaj. It is our new bike at the moment, which is taking the market by storm. It has got a gear display. It has a fuel gauge.
No more flipping, no more tilting. You know the fuel that you actually consume.
It also has an electric start and also a kick start. The seat is very comfortable, and not to mention it's also 5 gears, which makes it very economical. This very bike comes with a helmet. It comes with a warranty for 1 year and also comes with 3 labor-free services.
How much have you sold this bike to Kaleiwai?
At the moment, this bike has been sold to Kaleiwai for 4.8 million shillings.
4.8 million shillings. That is money we paid in cash. Now you can buy this bike at a price that you want. Get to your phone right now. Dial that code. Look for the Bajaj CT125. Click on it. Pay the bidding fee, which is 10,000 shillings. Now dial the same code again. This one on your screen. Go back to the Bajaj CT125. Tell us how much you want to pay for this bike. You can say, me, I'm going to buy that bike 500,000 shillings. If you are the highest bidder with your 500K, we shall call you here on UBC. You come with your 500,000, pay it in cash, drive away with your motorbike.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by.
Their job is to keep you and me healthy and well. But sometimes they try in vain.
How to get points? Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Pay school fees conveniently using MTN Momo. Dial *165 *80#. Enter the student code provided by the school. It will show you the student name and the class plus outstanding balance. Enter the amount you want to pay. Enter PIN. You will get a notification confirming payment. It's simple, secure, and convenient.
Everywhere you go, MTN. All eyes are on Africa. All eyes are on Cameroon. All eyes are on UBC. The drama, the heartbreak, the suspense, tears, joy and celebrations in the biggest sporting event on the continent. In one place, UBC. Call your public broadcaster today and grow your business with us. 0752 265 827 and 0776 611 540. UBC. Inspiring Uganda.
It's super cool to be a mass superhero, to get the spread of the virus to 0.
Did you know that just wearing a mask is not enough? Yes, Correctly wearing a mask will protect you and others, but you still have to remember to wash your hands with clean running water and soap or using a sanitizer, socially distance, and avoid crowded areas. Wearing a mask helps protect you and others from spreading viruses. To get the spread of the virus to zero.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
And we are spicing up your weekend. Very rare way of doing things, that is poetry, music at the same time. And of course, here we come to you also to give you a feel of the stories that made headlines throughout the week. Once again, I'm Robert Kirabo with my colleague, Rachel Takari. A lovely morning to you, Rachel.
Morning.
How have you been?
Quite well. I'm not complaining.
Well, it's the first Friday. People are excited when the economy is fully reopened. More so nightlife. Are you excited in any way?
No, not really. Life continues.
Life continues. Does this give you an opportunity to chill and...
Nothing has changed much. I mean, I'm not a late night person, so there's no significant difference.
There's no significant difference. Well, looking at the week and the stories that have made headlines, both print, the social media, and of course electronic media in general, we'll begin with, that is, it was Sunday morning when we had the shocking death of former governor of Bank of Uganda, the late Professor Emmanuel Mutebile. And of course, it's dominated the entire week, from the body arriving, Parliament, Kololo, until he'll be sent off. That is this very weekend. Briefly, Rachel, what do you make of Professor Mutebile? Many people have spoken so much about him, the man who played a very big role in Uganda's economy, more so at the Central Bank of Uganda. But also, some have spoken about him as a man with a big heart, that he gave so much to charity. Others he gave out of contribution. He was a mediator in many things, more so in the region where he comes from. That's the western part of Uganda. Professor Mutebile.
I'd like to place Professor Mutebile's end in the context of what has been happening elsewhere in the course of the week. Of course, there's the Liberation Day anniversary, and there's the reopening of the economy. There are other things that are happening along with this, the installation of Archbishop Samuel Gerere. As I was thinking about Professor Mutebile, I could not help but think about the greater context in which we find ourselves. You've spoken about the fact that he had a significant hand in the economy as we see it today. And that is very, very true. Looking at his history, his career, as far back as 40 years ago, he was very much in the center of forming economic policy for this country. In 81, as far back as 81, he was the Undersecretary, Ministry of Planning. And by 84, he had been confirmed as the chief economist in this country. He went on to become the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Planning and Economic Development in 92. So what we see today is very much the handwork of Professor Mutebile. Whether you like it, whether you don't like it, that is where we find ourselves. But I think for me, what is more instructional is the fact that there is the NRM anniversary, as we know, 36 years. Uganda is turning 60. The Catholic, Ugandan leadership of the Catholic Church is turning 62 years of age. The first Catholic bishop of Ugandan origin was installed back in 1960, and that was Joseph Chiwanuka. They went on to transition to Archbishop Wamala, no, Archbishop Nsubuga, Emmanuel Nsubuga, then Emmanuel Wamala.
Relating all this to...
No, what I'm saying is that I was thinking about how do we see the handiwork of Professor Mutebile versus the other important milestones that we've been observing. At 36, Mutebile was the chief economist of this country. At 36, NRM is where it is. At 36, that was 96, the leadership of the African leadership of the Catholic Church, that was in 96, was under the helm of Nsubuga, Emmanuel Nsubuga. Those institutions, NRM is an institution as we speak. Uganda, obviously, is more than an institution. But it allows us to see or to gauge the performance, because sooner or later we'll have a conversation concerning where Uganda is at 60 years of independence. We've spoken so much about that. But we should really be talking about how the impacts of these people have contributed to the welfare of the state. That is the reason why I'm avoiding talking about the career highlights of Professor Mutebile. They are storied, they're well known, they've been talked about. But what we want to know is, what is his legacy in terms of how well Uganda is doing? That is the question we should be examining. And at the same time, as I said, when we do talk about these other questions, we'll be asking, yes, NRM has been around as long as it has been, but it should now be a question of how well are they doing for Uganda? Not how long you've been around or how long you will be around. What I'm really trying to say is that the conversation ought to be, going forward, how individuals and institutions and governments and parties do by the people of Uganda.
Well, Rachel, yes, you've tried to mix a few things here and there, but of course, looking at it awesomely. But I just want to take you a little bit. We've seen a lot of people eulogizing the late. So much good has been spoken about him.
Yes.
Of course, also having a few mixed views here and there, more so when there was a bit of confusion at Bank of Uganda. I remember the packages and all that. But one of the outstanding things that now happened, that was during Parliament, when the Deputy Speaker of Parliament came out and said we should ensure his family has a permanent place of board because the lady didn't have any house in Kampala. And this has raised a lot of concerns. Should we have a policy? Should it be individual? We know, for example, the president, the vice president, it is clear when they retire or leave, we've seen the prime minister, that there is a package set for them. How far, how deep should this go, in your opinion?
Is that Uganda's most important need?
But you're seeing it arising now.
That's, and I'm asking, is that Uganda's most important need?
People who've contributed immense to should at least have a wire of the other of appreciating them.
He's gone. Why would you want to appreciate someone posthumously? You know what I mean? If by the end of his, towards the end of his term in office, or all these years, why didn't you bring that up? This culture of giving things to people who are gone is not something that we should continue with. If you really want to appreciate somebody, do so while they live. That aside, Professor Mutebile was not short on resources. I think we know this. He was not even a man who was short on intelligence. I think we understand this. He was a very intelligent person. He was not a person who was not clear concerning his direction as a human being. So it cannot have been by accident that he does not have a home, if indeed he does not have a home, because there are these other, this information doing the rounds. I don't know what was right. I don't know whether he had a home or he didn't. If Professor Mutebile did not have a home in Kampala, I venture to say it was by design. It is not that he was poor. What we are saying is that in this country, we must learn to do things that really are good for Uganda. If you want to appreciate a governor or a public official who's shining in his time, do it while he lives. He's never going to enjoy this, if you know what I mean. Is his family wanting? I mean, I know these are hard words. Not really, I guess. But why would you want to add and keep adding to someone who has so many resources What is the purpose? I think we must redo. There are many things we must redo. I keep saying this. As a country, we must visit some things. Okay, it may have been true of the vice president, but is that Uganda's most critical need?
Because of them, it is very clear. It is stipulated, even what they will get equivalent to this, equivalent to that. So I'm wondering, how far should it go?
Is it gospel truth? Is it a biblical commandment? I'm thinking that some things ought to be done depending on the needs of a country and indeed its resource envelope. Uganda is strained for money for all sorts of good causes. Among them, the welfare of our people, their health, their education, all those things are wanting. The roads, especially within local governments, are in total disrepair. There are many things that they say could be done, but the resource envelope, well, is this the best way to apply it? I'm not saying that it is a sin for this to be done, but is that the norm that is good for this country? Someone said that you really know that someone has made a significant, or has walked a significant distance in terms of being human, or in terms of understanding the needs of humanity, when they plant a forest or plant a tree under which they will never sit. Uganda must learn to do things that are beyond what you and I will enjoy in our lifetime. Is this the president we want to give, or the president we want to set, of disproportionately empowering people who are already empowered? Is that what we want? These are questions. I'm not saying that this must be, but really and truly, Uganda at 60, and I told you, Kirabo, that at 60, I will keep revisiting the question of the fact that this is a maturing state. We must not do things that have been done if they are not good for this country.
If they're not good for this country, well, one would say depends which side of the coin you're looking at it. But Rachel brings out a very important issue, is which precedent or what precedent are we setting? Many of the things that happen in our country, that is one of the things that comes to my mind, because generations to come will look at some of these things, and of course, they will do so because it has ever happened. Let's take a look at the 36 years we were celebrating. That is, it was a public holiday here. That was on Wednesday, as we're celebrating. That is the 36th anniversary, that is, of liberation in our country since 1986, when gallant young sons and daughters of this country took up arms to overthrow then the government of Lutwa that was not doing things that should have been done. Rachel, 36 years down the road, there are so many challenges that have come up. One of them are people who are not part of this history, not understanding so much where the country came from. The other, we still have issues like corruption. But of course, there's also a big question that always lingers around minds of many people. Are we where we should have been at 36 years?
The argument I want to advance is that we must make a point of comparing issues. It's very easy to sit here and criticize from morning to sunset. It's also very easy to sit here and pile praise from morning to sunset. But no one eats praise. No one's child goes to school because of praise. People take...
Some have praised and gotten rewards.
Well, those are very few and far between. Uganda will never advance because of heaping praise.
True.
So, so from those extremes, I want to excuse myself. I really want to point us in the direction of saying, where are we and where indeed will we be going? I told you about contrasting these institutions. There's the institution of the Catholic Church. I'm not a Catholic. I don't expect to become one. But there are some important lessons that we could learn. I told you that the first bishop of the African bishop, or Ugandan, was installed in 1960. Uganda had its first African leader in 62. So there are important comparisons that can be made between the journey of the Catholic Church, maybe even the Protestant, but we're talking about the Catholic Church because of this new consecration. They have internalized the business of seamlessly running an operation. I'm not saying they don't have challenges. I'm not saying they are perfect. But we are saying that Uganda ought also to be walking down that same path. If what did not work in '86 is still being practiced today, there is a problem. If what did not work in '96 is still being carried forward, there is a problem. If what was not working in 2006 is still being carried forward, there is a problem. NRM or Uganda at 60 and NRM at 36 should be a question really of evaluating why, if, how we should be doing things.
And on that why, if, how, what has been your observation?
There are many things that are going well, but there are many, many things that are not going well. And we keep asking, when will we have a public discussion concerning why we are where we are? When will we be honest with ourselves? I hear many politicians from time to time talking about, oh, this was how it was, and this is how it is, but where we are, is it a good place?
You have to compare. Comparisons are very important because that is when you know if you've moved forward. If you're collecting, say, 5 billion by 1986, today URA is looking at 22 or 20 trillion plus. So that shows economic growth. The economy has grown almost 29 times from what it was. Peace is there, border to border. We have now a new generation of people that have grown up. These were vaccinated. We've made strides in the education sector, looking at our infrastructure. So these comparisons help to know. Otherwise, it would be worse when you're moving in a reverse gear. So that is why they make this comparison, to show that, yes, we've moved.
Okay. Maybe you're not setting your bar high enough. If the economy has gone to that degree, could it not have increased more? Mr. Museveni is on record himself during just these last celebrations saying we could have done better.
Yes.
Why didn't we do better? If we could have done better on the educational front, what is it that is not being done? Those questions we are not hearing more of. I have not heard many of these ministers making that same confession that Mr. Museveni made. I've not heard the same confession from many of the RDCs. I've not heard the same confession from maybe leaders of the police or so on. In other words, I think, Kirabo, what I'm trying to say, that at this time in our history, at this time in the journey of NRM, it is a time for brutal truth and brutal questions. We cannot continue to say, this is where we were and this is where we need to be. But is it a satisfactory place? We need to be challenging ourselves to reach levels that cannot be contested in terms of goodness and excellence. Not in terms of
visions, we've always had missions, Vision 2020, 2040.
And they remain elusive. Why? You're talking about middle income status. We're talking about neighboring countries that achieved that. What did they do? Our leaders talk about benchmarking. Do they? They take these expensive trips. Do they actually internalize why Kenya achieved middle income status? Why Tanzania achieved middle income status? You were saying Tanzania has been stable, which is also true. You've been saying Kenya has been stable. So have you for many years. Why are you moving slowly? These questions, Kirabo, you will see that I am refusing to answer the questions you want me to answer. Because they have been we've said these things again and again. It is a time to develop a new way of seeing why Uganda is where it is and answering things differently, not the same old, same old. I will not go down that route of saying, oh, the economy has expanded so many times. We are not at a good level. Why? That is what we ought to be asking.
Very interesting, Rachel, we ought to be asking. And of course, many that you ask such question will give you all reasons to justify maybe where we are right now. One, you've talked about how we had first to deal with the number of insecurities here and there. But one of the biggest challenges I want us to discuss that for me came to my attention when I was watching the celebrations, because UBC, of course, we've never let Ugandans down when it comes to giving them full coverage of these functions, national celebrations. But one of the things that came out, and I wanted to see this really dealt with, was the talk on corruption. That when we talk about all this, one of the hindrances for our country to get maybe where you thought it should be at such a time is this mismanagement with impunity. I want to add that word, where a person will tell you openly, nature chija kugwa, it will run, it will happen, you'll go to court, you'll get the bail, and then we wait for the next.
Actually, when the president was talking about we could have done better, the question that came to my mind was, imagine sending a young child to a water source with a leaky jerrycan, a jerrycan that has 5 holes. And you tell this child, by hook or by crook, I want 20 liters from the water source to where I am, knowing full well this jerrycan is leaky. And I thought to myself, as I watched the president saying, this year, and I thought, how will that be possible with all the waste, with all the mismanagement, with all the impunity, with all the disregard for rules, regulations, policies, with the wanton abuse of office? And I thought to myself, 12 months is a short time. How on earth will that be possible? That is why I said, I do not want to talk about the usual. Oh, we had wars and now we are. I don't want that. What the people of Uganda want is first-rate services, not with a leaky jerrycan. It can't happen. Why is no one talking about curing the obvious and most important threat to Uganda? It is not the ADF. It is the pillaging of the state. It is the destruction of the social fabric, of the economic fabric of this country. Why is not more force being applied to cure this problem? You know, I told you about walking down towards the park. Nowadays, I walk very fast.
But unfortunately, that your joy could also be short-lived, because one is wondering how sustainable is this move. Are you going to have the police people
that aside
for a year plus? Definitely not.
Well, that aside. But I was thinking to myself, look at the energy that is being applied to this little problem. These little Juakali, they're easy to round up and exile from the center of the city. I wish a fraction of this force, energy, commitment, and zeal was being applied to the big fish. We would be past middle income to I don't know where.
Very interesting, and of course that is Rachel, her analysis when you look at the 36 years that we just celebrated of liberation, where yes, so much has been achieved, so much needs to be done, but of course all we need is to ensure that the cancer, the evil called corruption, we bring that to an end. Because no matter how much we really fetch or harvest in terms of our URA or tax body, if not put to proper use, it's not how much grants we get, how much loans we get, if not put to proper use, then we may not move at the pace we need and shall end up doing things at a snail pace and just have a few issues to handle here and there. But let's go for a break. Just remind you that when we return, we'll still also look at what is trending in the print media. Keep it with us.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
All eyes are on Africa. All eyes are on Cameroon. All eyes are on UBC. The drama, the heartbreak, the suspense, tears, joy and celebrations in the biggest sporting event on the continent. In one place, UBC. Call your public broadcaster today and grow your business with us. 0752 265 827 and 0776 611 540. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Start the year off with My Airtel 4G smartphone. You get to enjoy free 1 GB data valid for a month and 100% bonus data every month for 3 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings. This includes free data spread over 3 months worth 86,500 Uganda shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 Uganda shillings only. Visit the nearest Airtel shop and get one today. Airtel, the smartphone network.
All eyes are on Africa. All eyes are on Cameroon. All eyes are on UBC. The drama, the heartbreak, the suspense, tears, joy and celebrations in the biggest sporting event on the continent. In one place, UBC. Call your public broadcaster today and grow your business with us. 0752 265 827 and 0776 611 540. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Back from that short break, you're still with us, and it is Friday special where we give you all the information but also spice it up with music. And today, yes, we have an artist, a very, very talented young man, and of course we had a poem from him and some rare music there, not often easily come across. But we are still looking at stories that have made headlines throughout the week, and we now want also to look at that is the big function in the Catholic Church that happened this week, which was a consecration of the new Archbishop of Kampala Archdiocese. And it all began from Luwero, where he was the bishop there, until Rubaga Cathedral. Now, first, Luwero Diocese becomes one of the lucky dioceses, I think, in the Catholic faith, because the second they are producing, but also he's been at the helm before he was confirmed. He was the caretaker of this very diocese, a man well learned in theology, in church affairs, and he comes at a time when I think the Catholic Church has two challenges. One, economically empowering the followers, but also retaining, improving numbers. The traditional religions is one of the threats they're faced with this time. Most of them you'll hear, sometimes new faith is coming in, new here and there. These are appeal tasks for Semwogerere.
Well, you talked about Kasana Luwero having this accident or stroke of luck. That is not true. In the Catholic Church, things are very deliberate. Grooming of successors is a very important and critical responsibility. So whoever rises to that office is tried and tested, has been serving at a high level for a long, long time. This way of doing things, I talked about comparing the successes in institutions. This way of doing things has served well in even countries, among them Tanzania and China, where the line of political progression is very well ordered and tightly controlled to ensure that there is a repeat of the successes, if any, that have been true during the course of their operations. Back in 1960, I was saying earlier, they began on this journey, because before then there had been European leadership at the helm of Catholic matters in this country. But they have moved from Chiwanuka to Wamala, to Nsubuga, Wamala, Cyprian Luanga, and then now Semwogerere. He is expected to continue much of the work. because he was very closely affiliated with the late Wanga. He has been shown to be a steady pair of hands. Yes, challenges come. It is a question of progression of time. It is not if change will come, change must come. It is interesting to see how these advances or changes in the way people see and perceive things will be handled by a leadership that has been around for a very long time. The traditional approaches may not be what should be. You see, the Catholics also have their charismatic expression of their faith. And these are a fine mix between a born-again way of doing things and a traditional Catholic base. I imagine that those ones will increase in importance within the Catholic faith over the years, because that is the way the contemporary expression of that faith will continue. The traditionalists will remain there, but I fear that they will lose ground over time, maybe over the next 50 or 100 years. The church as it is today will not be as we see it. It can't be. Faith is dynamic.
So you've already seen a few changes coming in.
Absolutely.
Way of doing their worship, their praise, instruments. The traditionalness is slowly by slowly, it seems, the new generation to attract and retain them in the faith.
And of course there are voices within the Catholic Church who keep advancing this argument that there should be some loosening of the tight rule on the priesthood concerning marriage or no marriage. There are people who say, look, a human being can also serve his God well with a wife. I imagine those voices will increase in time. There are those who say that some things have not been handled very well when it comes to cases of sexual abuse. At the highest levels, the Pope himself has acknowledged that this is a problem. So it is not a case of saying, oh, we are tainting the church. No, no, no. These are issues that are very pronounced in Europe at this time, in America. For them, they have come to a point where they face the fact that these are realities. So going forward, Archbishop Semogere will have to find a way of really balancing the traditional approach and slowly integrating new ways of doing things. It is inevitable. Very inevitable, and we just hope that we shall see the Catholic Church grow stronger and mightier. Rachel, the late, that is Dr. Cyprian Chizitoranga, had tremendous achievements in the field of economic empowerment. He came up with circles we saw during his time. Most of the Scenario Bank flourishing to where it is today, being one of those credible banks that you can talk about. Of course, there are a lot of clientele. Let's look at a time now, 2 years down of COVID-19. He comes in when we know that church can no longer only do its role of preaching the gospel, but also economically helping, assisting, or coming up with mechanisms to empower the faithful in how best they can earn and improve on their welfare at such a time when the economy is struggling because of COVID-19. I think it's a late realization that a human being is really three in one, much like God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. A human being is spirit, soul, and body. The spirit man can be nurtured and got into a certain level, but the physical man also has his needs. A very spiritually empowered Christian who is desperately poor is a danger to himself, to society, and to the church, and to the heavens themselves. He is a liability. He is not in any way a good thing to have around. So the church has finally realized that for them to actually deliver on the expectations that God himself has of them as the priesthood, they must really cater to the interests of their people on every level. It is good for people to have the scripture down packed or to understand it as well as should be. But they will always eat, they will always have a need to have an education, they will always have a need for shelter, a need for clothes, and the church will never be in a position to cater for everyone on that front. So So the best way forward is to empower these people. By the way, an empowered Christian contributes to an empowered institution. Remember the tithes and the offerings and these other things? A person who is not empowered cannot contribute meaningfully to the institution itself. And so you may find yourself spending a lot of time in charity and being distracted from the core, which is spiritual nurturing. But spiritual nurturing goes hand in hand with physical progress. So it is a good realization, even if it's late in coming.
Well, so much happened over the week, and finally I want us to look at disaster. That was the mudslides that hit the western part of this country, that is in Kisoro. This is not the first time, and right now we are seeing that scientists will tell you these are predictable things. They predict, they warn, and maybe not so much action is taken. It's only when they happen that we see our disaster Ministry for Disaster Preparedness now hitting. We see the Red Cross and all this. I think this time let's focus on how can we ensure that we avoid a occurrence of this, because even some people that have been hit by disaster, some either we've tried to shift them if these areas are continuously prone to this, but you remember what is coming in, services here and there. So what should be the best way of avoiding such from happening, more so when you've now reached a level of at least having fairly enough scientists that can give us reliable information in terms of this prediction of these disasters?
When I was coming to work this morning, I saw a headline that talks about the Minister of Local Government, Raphael Majezi, threatening to re-centralize resource distribution to the districts. You're talking about how we can move from where we are to where we need to go. We talked about the cancer of corruption. I hope you're talking about Kisoro as opposed to globally. If resources are still being stolen by people who should be seeing that their people are sensitized and to see that trees are planted, or there is a restoration of some of these degraded environments, including the swamps and including the forests and so on and so forth. And when there is impunity and public figures are the ones degazetting public resources and being the first to occupy forests and so on and so forth, in that environment you cannot expect progress, can you? This whole thing revolves around where we started. Kisoro is just one of the many local governments in this country. But they are so starved of resources, even if they wanted to do something about the environment, they can't. Their resource base is miserable. Even that is stolen. Their commitment to doing a good job is questionable. They're busily running around doing everything but what they must do. We are saying that the state that is Uganda has a critical problem that spills into every sector of the economy. It spills into the environment, environmental awareness, it spills into health, it spills into education. I know you're talking about Kisoro in particular, but the problem is the same. The people don't listen. The people know what they should do. They say, please, get out of the wetlands. They refuse. And then the police will not do what it should because someone gave them something. Unless we address that problem, everything else will continue as it is. In fact, not continue, it will continue in full reverse gear. It is sad because when you go to these situations and you say, oh, you've been given 10 jerrycans per family, 2 plates, 3 kilos of sugar, that is not cure the environment.
It's not sustainable, actually.
No, it will not even cure the problem. This man is in this state because he invaded the swamp. This man is in this state because he cut down all the trees. But where is the enforcement? Where are the punitive measures? When people continue to abuse themselves, abuse us as their neighbors, abuse the country as stakeholders, how much longer will we continue like this? That is the question.
Well, once upon a time, one man said we need to sit together as a country and see what is best for us and how can we head into the direction. And very interesting twist, Rachel, before you look into the papers that also happened this week. We saw Dr. Chiza Besigye, the head of the Red Card Front, writing to the National Unity Platform, writing to Alliance for National Transformation that, hey guys, let's come on table. Let's discuss. Let's see how best we can move forward to ensure that we cause the desired change that we want in this country.
You know, when that movement was launched, I remember saying here that I had no kind words. I don't know if you recall. And at that time I was saying that when you do things just to be doing them, there really is no significant impact or way to move forward one way or the other. So what has happened until this time is that, for example, there has not been a serious attempt to cause movement on the opposition front. So for Dr. Besigye to be acting as if he has a right to be the one to superintend over the opposition movement, is in itself disingenuous? At this time, we know very well that when it comes to opposition politics, the momentum lies with NUP. We all know this. We know that years ago, Dr. Besigye was at the helm of opposition politics. But that season passed many, many months ago. When will he understand that he now has new kids on the block? And if anybody is to be humble, it is him. He should not act as if they should come to him. Why? Can't you go to them?
He believes their approaches maybe has not worked and they cannot. He says we have the same enemy and we need to have a similar methodology of fighting this enemy rather than you coming from Kasese, this one coming from Entebbe. Let's galvanize forces. Let's unite. We've done a lot of bickery. One another, one at a time, we laugh at Kyagulanyi. He thinks he can go in an election and then win. Then the other says, for you, you did your role. So let's have a proper way of doing things this time.
Kirabo.
Because it is time done. According to him, we can no longer wait till further notice because we've tried all avenues and they have failed.
There is a very popular saying that says, actions speak louder than words. I'll take you back to something that was very instructional concerning the approach of Dr. Kizza Besigye. During the last elections, FDC that he founded, that is his party, I think, was represented by Oboy, Patrick Oboy. If my memory serves me correctly, Dr. Besigye joined him once on the campaign trail. And even that was on the sides. I think it was in Karamoja. I think it was even accidental. If Dr. Besigye cannot support a party president of his own party.
No, by then he was the president of the people's government.
I repeat, if Kizza Besigye cannot support the president of his own party, he cannot support everybody, anybody who says he's in opposition politics, unless he's at the helm of the operation. What I'm really trying to say is that Kizza Besigye needs to retire honorably and leave us alone.
At that point, allow me just go to what is trending in the print media. I'll begin with the New Vision this morning, and well, ministers and that is chief accounting officers clash over money, the cows there, and now he threatens to recentralize district services. Still, the New Vision brings you more on IGP Ochola moves, that is 85 officers, and issues regarding divorce. Usichi Wewesi's wife wants millions. That is the pastor of Kansanga Miracle Center. Then there's also series on Ugandans who want to host, that is Obote and Amin. Well, also Parliament, that is eulogizes Mutebire, and the New Vision in investing money gives you a farmer from Jinja who has made a lot of money out of jackfruit. Something for you there, those are passionate and interested in the agricultural sector. Fight erupts over Makere building, more of that, but also in the education column this morning, there is biology, Kiswahili, and mathematics for you. Now I'll move to the Daily Monitor this morning, and here we are. We begin with Emmanuel Mutabire, where the house there uprose over house for Mutabire family, something we've just been discussing here. And still we see opportunities for you, job opportunities. Then Ugandan faces that have become named there. And we also have court fines, Mabirizi 300 million. Over what? Well, the Daily Monitor gives you more. Look at the COVID-19 tracker this morning for Uganda. New confirmed cases are 285. Positivity rate stands at 4.9. New death, that is 8 people have succumbed to COVID-19. Then cases admitted, that is 284 cases. People have been admitted. And remember, fellow Ugandans, if we only get to 50% occupancy of our intensive care beds and high dependency beds, then His Excellency told us on the 31st that he'll have no other option but to reinstate a lockdown in some areas there. So that is so that's some of the stories in the Daily Monitor this morning. And of course, you can get more of these when you get yourself a copy. But we also want to look at the Daily Nation. That is Uhuru throws race wide open. They are going in for politics in Kenya, and of course most of the content of the papers now is a preparation for the coming elections in about 6 months from now. Still looking at the Daily Nation, we see King Junji's, that is drilling fortune. And of course, they give you more of the figures in the political arena in the gear up to elections. Still look at the Daily Nation. There's so much there where we are seeing NHIF private hospitals issue threats to withdraw services. Over what? Well, there's so much of that in the Daily Nation this time. But don't forget, these and more you can get when you get yourself a copy of this. Rachel, as we are winding up, let me have your parting shot for this week.
Well, this week has had a number of milestones, if you will. And I think it's time for tough questions. We remind ourselves, NRM, you're 36. You're no longer a little boy. It's time to be mature in everything that you do. Uganda, you're 60. You're over the hill now, and it's time to do things differently. Well, the Catholic Church is also on its way, 62 plus years of indigenous leadership. But more than anything else, I think this is a time for us to be sober, as a nation, as NRM, as all of Uganda. We must put away our juvenile way of doing things and to really come to a place where we realize that unless we ask ourselves the hard questions and do the hard work, we'll never get where we claim we are going.
Okay, we'll never get where we claim we are going, and of course that is moving in a middle state income country, and His Excellency assured us that in a few months we'll be able to get to that. How do we get there? It's upon us, me and you, most so all being patriotic enough and remembering that whatever we do today has an impact to the next generation. The weather and environment lady is already prepared, and that is Mollen to give us more regarding climate and nature and weather.
Well, thank you, Robert. Well, so much. As we end January, we know it has been associated with mostly dry weather across much of the country, although unfortunately we did see heavy rains across the southwestern part of the country, and that brought in, a heavy downpour with landslides, and unfortunately that took lives as well. But we do continue with mostly those dry conditions across the country. January and February usually are associated with dry weather, and that is we're only seeing these days there are a lot of variations that have come with it when you take into consideration that the climate has been changing, and this is something that we've been talking about. The more we talk about climate change and look at some of these issues related to the climate emergency, then we're also talking about the frequency in those extreme extreme weather events. Now, when we're talking extreme weather events, obviously we're talking about the landslides as well, the flooding as well. Now, for you to have such an event in a dry season, these are things that, you know, were unlikely in the past. But the more we have interacted with our environment, with our climate, now we are seeing more frequency. We are seeing a rise in number of the extreme weather events that we're having across the country. Well, also we did come up with a forecast for how February is looking like in terms of a regional forecast, and this is coming in from a regional center at ICPAC that is overlooking the predictions across East Africa. Now, still there are concerns about southwestern Uganda. That area is still in the forecast and likely to have more of the rainy conditions compared to the rest of the country. Now, there is also more of that through parts of Mount Elgon. That is also likely to have most of those rainy conditions. Where you see the yellow colors, at least that is extending up to southwestern Uganda and also parts of the Elgon region. That is where we do expect at least the probabilistic forecast indicates rainfall over that area, and this is for the period of February. But then you look ahead into what is likely to happen as we head into March up to April 2022. Now, the forecast that is coming in from the prediction center, where you see the green colors, that is where we do expect rainfall over that area. Now, you do see that southwestern Uganda continues to be on the highlight for likelihood of rainy conditions across that area. We also have mostly the eastern part of the country. Now, northern Uganda also starts to pick up in terms of rainy conditions. But take a look at the Lake Victoria Basin. All those areas around Lake Victoria are also expected to continue with those rainy conditions. Now, still there will be quite a reduction across the western part of the country and of course also the northwestern part of the country, but that is still at a block forecast looking into February as we head into the March to May rainy season. Now, we do have a forecast for also what is likely to happen in terms of temperature across the region, and what we're seeing here from the yellow colors, you see those that will be above what is usually normal for the country. Now, that is in terms of percentages. You look at least what we have here in Uganda in yellow and orange colors goes for 40 to 50%. That is above what is expected and what has been normal to that area. Now, what is in the highlight is parts of Midwestern Uganda, also extending across parts of Central as well, and the Karamoja region, also parts of Eastern Uganda, where we do expect temperatures to be a little bit above what has been normal there. But Lake Victoria Basin, where we see you seeing those open white colors, at least we will continue with temperatures within the normal ranges. That is for February. But we also have at least parts of northern Uganda, the central towards northwestern parts of Arua there, also close to Gulu. We do expect temperatures to be a little bit above what is normal for that area, but otherwise we do expect quiet temperatures within the normal ranges across much of the country. Now, as we look into the February forecast, still we've seen the highlight of southwestern Uganda still expected to have more of those rainy conditions. So this is one of those areas that you do expect. Now that we're seeing extreme weather events over there, then we will be expecting to have at least more of those heavy downpours. And also we have to remember that this event was accelerated by the presence of Tropical Storm Anna, which was over the Indian Ocean. Now, that tropical storm has already started to move away, but we're seeing the aftermath of it being really devastating news. Even yesterday, the news that were coming through from the South African countries that did have much more of this effect, that is Mozambique, Malawi and Zimbabwe. We do have more numbers rising to 70 plus people dead and over 100 homes destroyed from the storm. But that is also to look into how these weather events are, repeatedly affecting the weather across Africa. You look at incidences of more and more tropical storms developing over the Indian Ocean. We have been seeing more cyclones across the world, and just recently we had that huge typhoon across the Philippines that was also, caused a lot of effect. Not to mention the earthquakes that we had from that eruption also across the island, across Tonga Island. So we're seeing more and more of these extreme weather events, and when we are calling for climate action, we want to avoid some of these things, because if you look around us, this is not normal. This is not what was there in the past or what we're used to. So unless we actually start taking action, this is going to be more and more. And you look at areas like Southwestern Uganda, really, these are areas that have been hotspots for landslides and flooding. You consider areas like Kasese as well, where we've had more of those landslides and flooding. So what we have been asking people is, if you are in these areas where there are hotspots, likelihood of landslides and flooding, please move. You can't wait for government or Minister of Disaster and Preparedness to come and say, people living around this area, please move. If you see that this area is not safe, whenever it rains, that even because before some of these landslides, you will see cracks. There are always, changes that you will notice across the mountain. So if it's starting to crack, that is one area you shouldn't be around. So to avoid most of the disaster, to avoid, dying from these extreme events, move from, where it's likely to happen, especially for the areas that have been, hotspots. You look at Eastern Uganda, areas like Bududa, they are places where it has been prone to landslides, and when it starts to rain, those are not areas you want to be in. So my advice is that, people living around such areas, please, if you have an alternative to move somewhere else, you're the ones to reach out to the authorities and tell them this is not safe to be around such places, and you can get to safer places. Maybe then we can avoid much more of the distraction. But we want to take a look into what is happening across the country for this morning, and what we do have is a rainy system that did start off actually earlier this morning across Lake Victoria. Yeah, that was bringing mostly rainy conditions across the islands of Lake Victoria, but more of what we're seeing right now, even extending into Kampala, extending into Entebbe, Wakiso, is mostly cloudy conditions. Now those are also forecasted to have a little bit of rains, where you see the red, orange, green, blue colors there. That's the rainy system that is moving across. It started off over Lake Victoria, but now that is propagating mostly westwards. We are expecting those rains to reach up to the western side of Lake Victoria, and that will take in Masaka, of course, already showing those deep orange colors, meaning that we do have those rainy systems over there. But also for now, we do have those cloudy conditions in Kampala, and at least most of the areas close to Lake Victoria, especially just at the barricades of the lake, we are likely to be having those rainy conditions this morning. Now the rest of the country, we are seeing mostly those cloudy conditions also starting to develop across Lake Albert. Now Midwestern Uganda might also be likely to have a little bit of those rains as the day progresses. Now we continue with sunny conditions, where we're seeing those gray colors. Those are open skies for northern Uganda, eastern Uganda, as well as the Kirabo region, starting off with mostly sunny conditions, and we do expect those to continue into the afternoon. So that area is still hot, and also might go on into the afternoon as well. Now, Southwestern Uganda is also starting to clear up, but we're seeing this system moving westwards, even the one from Lake Victoria. So most likely we might be having cloudy conditions extending towards southwestern parts of Mbarara, Bushenyi there, but also we do expect just a little bit of rains over that area. We'll go ahead and take a look into our forecast for this morning, and that is coming in from the Uganda National Meteorological Authority. We start off with the eastern part of Central, where we have Luwero, Wobbly, Nziburi, Nakaseke. We are forecasting a pretty sunny morning over there, starting off quite hot at 30 degrees, and we're likely to hit, up to 32 by afternoon. Now look at Eastern Uganda, also equally hot for this morning, starting off at 31. We're having those sunny conditions even as we speak, but that is also forecast to continue until the afternoon, so temperatures will only be getting higher. That's one hot place to look out for today. Now the eastern part of Lake Victoria, we have Tororo, Busia, Iganga and Jinja. We're forecasting those rainy conditions. We already have the clouds moving in, and that will be bringing rains across that area, but also that will be only in a few places, starting off at 129. Now we look at Mount Elgon Highlands, where we do have Mbale, Bududa, Buko, Sironko. We're forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, starting off at 28. Also quite warm for this time of the year, and we do expect similar conditions even in the afternoon with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Now southwestern Uganda, we're expecting those rains as the clouds start to move in, but those will also be isolated over a few areas, starting off with a 128, and that is most likely to also move in into the afternoon, but those will be clearing a little bit later. Now, the western parts of Lake Victoria already having those rainy conditions moving in, and that will be covering parts of Masaka, Kalisizo, Sembabule, Rakai. We are forecasting temperatures to start at 28, but it will get warmer in the afternoon, and we do expect those rains to also stick around into the early hours of the afternoon. Now, central northern Uganda, we're forecasting a pretty sunny morning as well over there, starting off at 29. That's quite hot, but as we head into the afternoon, we're likely to hit the lower 30s across that area, as we do expect to maintain equally those sunny conditions, and that will be also contributing to the rising temperatures over that area. Now, coming back here at the central part of Lake Victoria, Kampala, Entebbe, Wakiso and Mukono, we're still forecasting those isolated rains, and those will be at least for the areas mostly close to the lake, that is Lake Victoria. Do expect those rains to come your way, starting off with a pleasant 26, at least quite a cold morning, but we also do expect to warm up as we head into the afternoon. Now, usually even when we have that rainy system, it kind of clears easily, and before you know it, the temperatures are up there rising. So that is usually what happens with most of these rains that even come in during such dry conditions. The systems are just short-lived, and before you know it, the rain has cleared, and it will appear as if it never rained, because the temperatures will just be rising and rising, and as if it has not made a difference, but at least it takes off a little bit of dust. So while we're praying for the rains, we hope they're not extreme, and at least most of the systems that have been worrying us, like we're seeing the storms over the Indian Ocean, have a little bit, cleared, and most of them are filling up, so meaning that we might not have anything out of the ordinary for this time of the year. But for the areas that are still likely to have rains, now mostly even the forecast that we gave earlier as we're starting January was indicating that the southern part of the country will continue to have those rainy conditions. Now, except for the northern area and eastern Uganda, those will continue to have sunny conditions. Even what we're seeing right now in the forecast, it is still quite sunny, and this is not the place to even think about planting for those areas. You have to wait until the forecast for the rainy season, that is March to May, is out. But for the areas that are still receiving rains, especially around Lake Victoria, southern sector, and this is time you also have to look into your garden, help to prepare those gardens as the rains start to come in, soften the soils. So that is just the perfect time to start preparations. But still, you can't also start planting until those rains are, setting up. But well, I want to leave you at that in terms of weather. We do have sports coming up, and well, we've been talking about AFCON. It is, that season when you're waiting to see, and we're headed towards, the semi-finals. I want to believe quarter-finals, then semi-finals and finals. I can't imagine. I don't even know what team Ruben supports, but he will be telling us more of that. I can see he's set and ready. Ruben, you'll have to tell us what team you're rooting for, really.
AFCON, that is Zambia, actually. I love Zambia because I watched AFCON 94. The first edition I watched was 94, fully watched. And I loved Karusha Bwali and Elijah Litana. So that made me fall in love with the Zambian players by that time. The Elijah Litana, Kenneth Malitori, players like James Fidi, Karusha Bwali. So that's the team. Besides Uganda, I would have loved Zambia to go through. But Mollen,
yes.
Yesterday, it's regrettable that the governor died after so many years of illness. But I want to talk about, before I go into sports, women and how they behave after we have passed on as men. How can a woman come out and say the man had no house, really? How can you even say that? How can somebody come out and say, he didn't lose anything? Was there an agreement for the two of them that you live with something?
If you ask me, my opinion of this matter is, I have been to Lake Bunyonyi, and the late Mutebile owns one of the islands on Lake Bunyonyi. But let me tell you one thing that I noticed about that island. It's the only island in Lake Bunyonyi that actually has hydroelectric power. The rest of the islands have no power. And guess what? They have almost $1 billion resort on that island, and that is his. So if someone owns an island that luxurious, then how does the family come in to say they don't have a house? They want the government to build for them a house.
For point of connection.
How is because this is a luxurious facility.
Okay, it's bad to discuss the late. It's really bad. But the family doesn't speak. It's not represented by a woman. No. If I died today, my wife will not still fix for the family. No.
Maybe she's the next of kin.
No. That is the interpretation of certain things. My issue is where I grew up from and the character that groomed me. You don't come out and speak such things. You don't do that as a woman.
Well, the privilege in this country.
I still question the people who who woke up and had such a person and called such a person their daughter or their what? I don't know. But anyway, it's regrettable that the man went to meet the Lord, and it's so sad. Actually I know some of the people who have worked so close with him. And they're not really feeling, they're feeling actually the pinch, if that's a better word, statement to use. But for me, when we person as men, there are so many things we do, bad and good. So whatever we've done, what has gone wrong, should never be mentioned when my body is in the coffin. I don't think I can even allow that as a Ruben. And I don't think my family can allow that even. Not even people around me, the friends, they can't allow that.
Well,
you just
we do
come
talk
in,
good about
the model is you come in and sit in your tent, keep quiet, wait for 2 p.m., just sit in your tent. The people who take me to Bari will not be part of you. You will not be part of them.
I hope you don't organize for your funeral when you're still around.
No, to avoid embarrassments and people speaking out of rubbish.
This is the group I want to carry me to, you know.
No, to avoid embarrassments and people speaking a lot of nonsense. Sometimes you say, it's Nasa, Rator and Felix to take me to the grave. Family step here, Bari, go away.
But you want to be around to
go away. Don't. Now you lament when I come back. Okay, AFCON games.
All right, let me leave you to that.
Women are really hard to deal with. But for me, I'll be very honest. Even if I pass on now, people will not be bad. Some people will not come. They will not be anywhere near. That's why the drunkards will not even come to my grave. They can't. How do you come when you're drunk? Anyway, AFCON quarterfinal resumes tomorrow. Of course, there have been 2 days of resting. That is yesterday and today. So quarters return tomorrow. I'll be here with the team, Michael Senfuma and Timothy Kutesa, to analyze some of the games. But of course, the first quarterfinal game would be between Gambia and Cameroon. I watched some clips yesterday on Sky. I was watching Sky News at around 1 a.m. in the morning. This morning, not yesterday, this morning, what's wrong with me? And the morning has been disturbing me with people who dare and speak a lot of nonsense. How do you know because someone dare and start talking? He didn't give me this. Well, did you make an argument with him to give you something? Yeah? But such women, how do you even find such women? How do you find them and start dating such? Gambia will take on Cameroon. That will be at 7 p.m. Tomorrow. But of course, those who have been waiting for the Egypt Morocco game, the game has been pushed to 6 p.m. So to correct that, the first game tomorrow is 7, but the first game on Sunday will be at 6 p.m. So you need to know that that CAF has brought forward that game. But 2 games tomorrow. Burkina Faso will take on Tunisia. That will be at 10 p.m. Then we will have Gambia against Cameroon, the hosts. That would be as well. That will be at 7 p.m. At the stade du Japoma. And that will be the stadium in Cameroon. And of course, on Sunday, we'll have Egypt taking on Morocco. That will be at 6 p.m. And then the last game of the semi-finals will be Senegal against Equatorial Guinea. Those are the 4 games we'll have over the weekend regarding AFCON. And after this weekend, we shall go into midweek. We have the semi-finals. Then the other weekend will be the finale, the climax of the AFCON. So we can't predict now who will take the day. But I will tell you that I strongly believe that the hosts have a chance. And Egypt might sneak in. You never know. You know, some things are really easy, rather hard to understand. But of course, with football, anything can happen. Away from that, let's go to NBA. We had games played this morning. 2 games actually played this morning. The 76ers against the Lakers. And the Lakers did lose the 76ers. That was 105-87. The Warriors did beat the Timberwolves. That was 124-115. The first quarter was actually a 54-point quarter. Wow, what a game for the Warriors. And tomorrow morning we'll have so many games here I can take you through. Magic will take on the Pistons. That will be at 3. Atlanta Hawks Celtics will take on the Hawks. That will be at 3:30. The Hornets will take on the Lakers. The Rockets will take on the Blazers. Grizzlies against the Jazz. Heat will take on the Clippers. Pelicans against the Nuggets. Thunder will take on the Pacers. Spurs will take on the Bulls. And then we shall also have the Suns against the Wolves. And lastly, the Bucks, that is led by Giannis Antetokounmpo, will take on the Knicks. That will be the last game tomorrow at 6 a.m. in the morning. I've got to hand over to the team. That is Felix, and of course the man who performed here. I am told that the man is part of reggae. Is it reggae or is it a rapper? Wait. W-A-K-E. So is he awake?
Absolutely.
So Wake is a Christian name or is a stage name?
It's a stage name.
Okay, so your name is Wake.
More about himself, and I probably also want to know the thesis or the preamble of that name. But Ruben, just as I let you go, you did touch the issue of the fallen Ndugu now, our comrade and the hero. For that, he deserves so much. Of course, eulogizing as we did. The issue of him coming, the wife, allegedly, I would want to borrow that word, who comes out to say that they didn't have a home. For me, and I was thinking about it, probably, don't you think we should also, men should be involved in approving the kind of friends our wives have?
No,
the circles, in short.
Firstly, you people are still searching for who to marry tomorrow or the
Apparently, I'm not.
I'm sorry, in case you're not
my sister Fido.
you should know. You should take. I'll leave you with this, Felix.
Please.
Know where somebody came from,
the
who
family,
are the parents, who are the friends, and the schools she or he attended.
That
matters a lot. You will never find somebody from the Golden Hill around Seta. Speaking about such, you never go to Mount St. Mary's in Magunga and find the hooper. The
Gayaza guy.
He didn't leave me with the house. She would never say that. Now, the people you pick from Pima High,
Pima Memorial,
Jatini College, they will come up with such things. Because for them, they don't have that what they call image protection. They don't have that.
They have nothing to lose.
That oath they have never saw the oath of secrecy.
Yes.
You've got to have that oath of secrecy, where even if you see your husband, because me where I come from, we are night dancers. I'll be honest with you. But even if I saw my that night dance, I will not say it out that, well, you know what, we run it at night. No, I can't say that.
In Muyekwe?
Yeah, I can't. because I can't even defend my position. I don't know. But how can it?
I want to put a disclaimer to what Ruben has said. Those are his opinions.
Now I'm being honest anyway.
This man comes from Buyikwe, and that falls under Bukunja. So in Uganda, we have a saying that Abakunja Tibakunja Miti.
Okay, when I was growing up, Felix, when I was growing up, we used to hear about night dancing. And I've not seen it happen. But even if I saw it happen, I will not come and speak about it because that's not in my
look the other side.
In my DNA to speak about that. I've never seen a commander of any war come out and say, "Okay, this and this and that." Have you seen that happen?
Not really.
Oath of secrecy, nurturing, and the penal code that governs that institution. So even in marriage, you need to have that.
Our poll question today, Ruben, was about how can government apparently, reward long-time civil service servants, rather. Do you think
government has been paying that civil servant salary.
Yes.
So how can they reward such a person?
So in short, you mean to say this call that did happen in Parliament, it's in my opinion, it's the abuse of the person of the dead.
You've worked for UBC for over, the time you've been here. They have been paying you money.
Yes.
When you pass on, you want us to do what for you? Did you work for free? You go, if you drank all what we gave you, it's up to you and your family. If you humanize with the money we gave you, it's okay. So don't die and your family comes there and say, us, he was working here. Can you do this? We can't. Do it now. Do it now when you can do it.
Don't refer to me. Talked about.
Don't come here and tell us because I was working here. I demanded this. We paid you a salary.
I want to say thank you so much, but just in 1 minute, Ruben, kindly talk about the gifting of AFCON. We saw yesterday we did give some awards.
Yeah.
There's a partnership we have as UBC and your TV.
Yeah,
kindly,
that is
just
true.
In a minute.
You just actually, if you want to predict and win, if you want to be part of that, you've got to go to your phone, type *210*6#. Gambia takes on Cameroon tomorrow. If you say that Gambia 2 Cameroon 1 and you get it right, their good is to win smartphones, bags, a boda bike. You can win a hamper. You can win 100,000 shillings cash. Like yesterday, Felix, yesterday I gave out money to a man from Soroti. And the guy was very happy. I saw blessed. You would have seen his smile on the face when he received the money.
Something like Juna.
But I was told that nobody is eligible to participate here. So you don't have to press that code when you work for us here. Maybe work you can.
Okay, thank you so much.
So before I go, Felix, work has the album has Chipepeo?
No, let me let Ruben go, but also to remind our viewers that we have AFCON live on UBC and all our channels. That is on U24, Magic, and of course all the radio stations. Now, be sure that we are still executing the commitment we did make to bring to you all the 52 games. And now we have added something that is quite spicy, where we want you guys to engage and you'll be winning. But far from that, Philo and Wake and myself are in studio. I won't ask Wake the issues of marriage. Please don't even get...
Is that a topic that you don't want us to cross to?
Please don't ask. No, but you can ask. I'm playing. You can ask.
But you are organizing for Valentine's. You have something coming up.
A show.
Hey.
I have a show. Performance. That's what I'm planning.
I don't know why people shun this topic, Felix. Why? People treat it like fun.
I want to tell you, Philo, the topic of relationships is a hard one. Between you and me, you know. And that's why the Baganda have a saying that if you have a garana, Tosayo,
Chicho.
It all comes from that kind of background.
Yes.
So people don't want to make comments. So we'll leave that to you, but we don't tire to tell you that just take care. And of course, on top of that, as Philo, the advocate of Valentine, will be giving us probably tips on how to avoid all these things as we head into Valentine.
You know, there is always something about Valentine's. It could be a good one for quite a number of people, but it can actually turn out as the worst for several other people.
Most of the people.
For most of the people. If you decided to sit down and decide to hear some of these stories, some of them are horrendous.
Have you ever heard a story, Wake, about Valentine? No.
You were very skeptical about that response.
Not really. None that comes to my mind now.
But okay, let's talk about Wake now. What's with the name Wake?
Wake comes from a place of realizing who I am in terms of my identity as an African, my identity as a Christian, my identity in terms of faith and in terms of heritage. So that's where I was waking up to who I am. So the name Wake.
You were asleep,
I was asleep. The name before I was called Wake was Swagasaf. I don't know what that was.
Okay.
Swagasaf. So I woke up to who I am.
Apparently, in this country, just that you talked about Swagasaf, Swaga, something like that.
Yeah,
it's good you left it.
Yeah.
Thank God you left it in the background. In Uganda, you'll find the weirdest, I think in the world, the weirdest people who have weirdest names are musicians. Yeah. In Uganda, you used to have my late good friend, AK-47.
Yeah. Yes.
We have Raga Pimpi. You know, and we have Rikodi Era Butinda.
No, but I've always wondered what inspires these people to get the names they get.
Like a name Rikodi Era Butinda.
What is that?
Butinda is catapult. Zex Viranjiranji Inchi Kumi.
Zex Viranjiranji.
Philo, what name would you have if you're a musician?
You know what? I've already said this. I would actually stick to my name.
I think so too.
I don't believe.
Do I look like somebody who would actually have an alternative? Do you think I would have a pseudonym?
Do you want me to give you a name?
Please.
You don't want to. You didn't want me to go there. Okay, but Wake is a good one, and definitely, of course, it has a beautiful reason to it. So Wake, you've done like any albums you've done?
Yes, I have an EP that I released in 2009.
I like how you guys call it EP.
It's a baby album. It has 6 songs. Yes, that's the one that is like a solid project. But I've been releasing singles, videos, and doing collaborations.
You've worked with any artists in particular?
I've worked with, I've worked with Afri, I've worked with Joe Steady, I've worked with a couple of people on the JR, Price Love, Control AD, C19 Music. There's so many.
Haven't you worked with Philo? You need to work with Philo.
You want to work with Philo?
I need to work with Philo.
You should let me know.
To work with
Who's Philo's manager? Your Philo's
self-appointed
Come on.
manager.
Shall talk to thee after.
Okay. So, well, we're getting into, before we get into the music, Philo, we did see one of the photos that was trending a couple of days ago when we saw the first son of Uganda meeting the Rwandese.
Oh, yes. And quite a number of Ugandans were actually very excited.
Were they?
Yes, they
Why?
were, because they were anticipating good news to be coming from that meeting. But I mean, with what is going to be happening right now, they were not wrong. They were not wrong. Because good news is out there. I know very many people are asking, we knew there was a meeting, but we did not know what was happening behind the doors. But
we
we're,
didn't get disappointed, and absolutely something beautiful came out of it. And
yep, ladies and gentlemen, 31st of January, okay, the Gatuna border post is going to be actually open, meaning that there will be connections once again getting out of Rwanda, getting into Uganda. Now, there was an official statement that was released, and it was from the Republic of Rwanda, which actually talks more about this. And they were highlighting that following the visit to Rwanda of Lieutenant General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the senior presidential advisor on special operations and commander of land forces of the Uganda People's Defense Force on 22nd January 2022, the government of Rwanda has taken note that there is a process to solve issues raised by Rwanda, as well as commitments made by the government of Uganda to address remaining obstacles. Now, in this regard, and in line with the communique of the 4th Quadripartite Summit held at Gatuna on 21st of February 2020, the government of Rwanda wishes to inform the public that the Gatuna border post between Rwanda and Uganda will be reopened from 31st of January 2022. And as it is the case for other land border posts in the country, health authorities of Rwanda and Uganda will work together to put in place necessary measures to facilitate movement in the context of COVID-19. And the government of Rwanda remains committed to ongoing efforts to resolve pending issues between Rwanda and Uganda, and also believes that today's announcement will contribute positively to the speedy normalization of relations between the two countries.
And then you say, cha cha cha, cha cha cha. You know? Really?
Yes, I think this deserves ululation.
That's right. Ululation. I don't know. No, now is why I need to collaborate with my Muyimbi. But of course, now speaking about Muyimbi, just before we get into your performances, what languages do you do when you're doing music? Do you only do English?
I am a Mugwere from Palisa, and I am very passionate about. This is why I have Mwanaweka as a brand. Mwanaweka means child of home. So my music is in Lugwere, but I write some Luganda, some English, some Swahili. Yeah. But I'm passionate about my people and where I come from. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So what you're going to be performing for us?
I'm going to do a song.
Okay.
If time allows, maybe even a poem, but I'll just do a song.
Okay. Clearly, we can take the two.
We can take the two. All right. So I'm going to do
probably back to back.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a poem first, and then I'll do a song.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can't wait to listen to the poem and definitely later on to the music. Now, I don't want to waste more time. I'll let the big man himself, the big fish, who got awakened from Swagger Friend?
From Swagger Saf.
Bye-bye, Swagger Saf.
Welcome, Wake.
Welcome, Wake.
Thank you.
Okay, Wake, we'll let you do your thing.
All right, so this poem is called Movement, and it talks about you know, as creatives, we face a lot of negativity and naysaying. So this is just to encourage you out there to stay focused on your movement, stay focused on what you're doing. Do not take a seat at the bonfire with cold-hearted people casting dreams upon fire. You will never soar higher. They will only wear you down until you fall. Tired, they will say to you, your poetry is whack. Quit writing and reciting and apply for some form of formal work. Don't you know that your poetry ain't enough for you to own a car? Yeah, your self-drive is great, but you are not a car. So when will you get a car? When will you get a car? When will you get accustomed to the custom that your age group must own a super custom? Their words can break your backbone, so do not avail the platform for them to plaster on your saddling paint. It is only you that can perfectly color your world. Let nobody mess with your paintbrush. So even when you face national resistance, you need to stay focused on your movement. You can't afford to take a seat at the bonfire with cold-hearted people casting dreams upon fire. You will never soar higher. They will only weigh you down until you fall. Tired, they will say to you, if only you were a bit smaller, with a shape like a Coca-Cola, with a skin that was a bit light, then maybe your future would have been bright, but it is such a pity. How will you be successful? You are not even pretty. You see, they do not see things. They do not see things the way you do, so they won't understand you when you overstep. They will call you, text you, flood up in your inner box, trying to put you in a box, but you have a gift meant to be unboxed. So even when you face national resistance, you need to stay focused on your movement. You can't afford to take a seat at the bonfire with cold-hearted people casting dreams upon fire. You will never soar higher. They will only weigh you down until you fall. Tired, so let nobody mess with your paintbrush, not even one person. They will eventually become thirsty when they see you sipping the juice from your passion. Yeah, that's it. All right, so this song I'm going to perform is called Magero Magero, and it talks about being a miracle and the miracle of life. And if you're grateful for anything in life, this is your song. Yeah. Yeah. Agamale biseera mbukufunya bikonde mbula nago mani gange matono kimo kitinga ni mulago, but heroes again. I am supposed to be dead. I am supposed to be dead, but heroes again. Tikubeya baba tumulanga muzetina kule, but heroes again. I was always in the dark utamo memete kule. The enemy wanted to come over me, but the Lord overcame. Don't get it twisted on me, I'm a miracle. Hey, so when I get to drop the lyrical, man, I get 'em. Mataki maitaki manyenti ndika mafuta mobaka jama nenti ndiko mukisa mading to the name. Every miracle I attribute to the name. Hey, I am a miracle. I am a what? I am a miracle. I am a what? I am a miracle. Yeah. My God is what? My God is visible. I am a what? I am a miracle. A spiritual what? Spiritual lyrical. Chama ghetto. Alivyonitendea kwenye msalaba nicho kutangaza. UBC alivyonitendea kwenye msalaba. One time. Check. Okuzwanga ni muto sana baida taka kunkubakigo agezere kubuli kimo manaisu nzekali ndikusa na kimo bamu wana kuboti kanse nutuli kusati twetaga no kimo twafuniro superhero man. With every disease the devil was coming to me. Hey, alataka mbukumbe ya bea so waku worship him, but hey, yali yankubira wona kimonze ninkoma mazwi. The enemy wanted to okatonda nakasunya matwi. Hey, don't get it twisted on me, I'm a miracle. So when I get to drop the lyrical, man, I get 'em. Mataki maitaki manyendi ni kama futa mobaka jama neti ndikomo kisa mading it to the name. Every miracle I attribute to the name. One time, I am a miracle. I am a what? I am a miracle. I am a what? I am a miracle. Yeah. My God is what? My God is visible. I am a what? I am a miracle. A spiritual what? Spiritual lyrical. Chama ghetto. Hey, chama ghetto. Lichokuta chama ghetto. Hey, alivyonitendea kwenye msalaba nicho kutangaza. Hey. Where's Philo? Philo should do a freestyle. Philo should do a freestyle. Hey. Ati Queen dancer.
Yeah. Felix though can execute that.
Felix.
Yeah. Absolutely, I can, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, say. Hey, do you have some? Did you like Jamaican music? Have you done any jam on that jam?
Dance, yes.
Yeah. Wow, lovely. So
I started out as a ragamuffin, as a dancehall artist, but I don't.
Does that explain the swagger stuff?
Swagger. My name then was.
Hey.
There is a history of names.
Mungo Park. I don't know how it's called Mungo Park. He was an explorer in, I think, Western Africa.
What did you want from the explorer? Jesus Christ.
I don't know, man.
Anyway, tell us, how can people get your music?
Yes, so my music is on all streaming platforms,
All right.
Spotify, Tidal,
Okay.
but also follow me on social media. Twitter is at Wake_256. Facebook is Wake256. The music is on YouTube. There are videos on YouTube. YouTube channel is Words of Wake. Yes.
Wow. Any concerts? Any work you're doing? Anywhere to be?
Something we
for us
need to look out for?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you get excited?
Anyway.
Please.
Do not excite us.
I am going to. I am working on an album this year that I'm going to release this year. So that's the big thing I'm working towards.
Yeah.
But I'm performing at a couple of shows during the Valentine's period. So you should look out for that. Yeah, and also collaborations. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, big things indeed are gonna happen, and we all, I mean, yeah, true that, man. All we wish you is the best of luck.
That's the
we
most
know
Felix
that
can
you're
do.
just doing the right thing.
Thank you
You're
so much.
talented.
Thank
You're
you.
killing it,
Thank
and
you.
of course, this is what young talent in Africa means when you talk about we taking over.
Yeah.
Definitely, guys like Wake are taking over. But of course, Wake, any particular words you want to give out to your fans out there as we get done?
Thank you for supporting Wake. Thank you for supporting Ugandan music. Thank you for loving Uganda. You are the change. So if you want to change something, go do it. Yeah. So God bless you. May the peace of the Lord be with you.
Amen. Well, thank you so much, Wake, for actually stopping by and giving us all this amazing and wonderful entertainment in this Good Morning Friday special edition. Now, as we step into the weekend, I just really want to ask you, do not put yourself in a very compromising, position, okay? This is the very first Friday we are having out, so there is a lot of excitement out there. So, people are going to do all the craziest things, but while you are at it, do not forget to actually wear those masks, and wear very clean masks, by the way. I always intend to be very specific. And also make sure you follow all the SOPs. We're trying to fight something here. Anything can happen and we get back into the system that we were in the last couple of 2 years. So just be very careful while you are doing the enjoyment, school enjoyments.
Absolutely, we're going to do a lot of that this weekend, I can tell you. But as you do that, please take on what Philo did say. But for us on the team here at Good Morning Uganda, we wish you all the best. Stay safe, take care of yourselves, and be blessed. Be blessed, be happy, keep smiling. I mean, life is short. What else can I say? Of course, Good Morning Uganda Extra now today, of course, is Pan-African Friday. It's coming up with Jagenda Semakula Zikusoka, my big brother. Very good man there, and definitely today probably he'll have a lot of men. But I want to ask Jagenda, why people put on those dresses? Kanzus? I don't know. Is that a symbol of Pan-Africanism? Maybe I'll ask him in one of the corridors, because clearly he's already here. But thank you so much for watching Good Morning Uganda. Thank you so much for, of course, all the comments, and of course, some of you who do take time to wake up with us. Have a blessed weekend, and thank you again.